Bulldozers were already tearing into my front wall when she screamed, "Stop him! He didn't pay HOA fines!" Dust filled the air, glass shattered, and Karen stood there smiling like she owned the mountain. I didn't shout. I didn't run. I just looked at my kids standing behind me, scared and silent, while a fake HOA notice flapped on the broken gate. She waved papers in my face and said my house was illegal now. Then she crossed a line. She told the workers to keep going and whispered, "You people never learn." My phone was already recording. The neighbors were watching from far away, nobody helping. A tow truck pulled up to take my SUV, and she laughed, saying, "You're done here." I stepped closer to the noise and said calmly, "This land has no HOA." She froze for half a second, then snapped back, "I run this mountain." I let her talk, because some power is loud, and some power waits. She pulled out her phone and made a call right in front of me. "Send enforcement. He's trespassing and refusing orders," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. 10 minutes later, 2 men showed up in black SUVs, wearing badges that looked real if you didn't look too close. One of them grabbed my arm and said, "You're coming with us." My son stepped forward and I shook my head slowly. No words. Karen smirked and said, "See, authority always wins." Then one of the fake officers tried to push me toward the SUV, and that's when the bulldozer hit something underground and stopped dead. Sparks flew. The driver jumped out yelling that they'd hit a reinforced structure. Karen panicked and screamed to keep digging anyway. I calmly took out my phone, opened a file, and sent one message. The fake cop's phone buzzed. His face changed. He looked at me again, this time scared. I leaned in and said quietly, "You really shouldn't touch a sitting governor's emergency bunker." The air went quiet. One fake cop stepped back like he'd seen a ghost. Karen laughed fast and loud, trying to cover it up. "He's lying," she snapped. "Check his records." She grabbed the papers again and shoved them at the men, saying I owed years of fines. That's when real sirens echoed up the mountain road. Not HOA, not private security. State troopers, black SUVs with flags on the hood. The fake cops looked at each other and started sweating. Karen's smile cracked. One trooper walked straight past everyone and stood next to me, calm and sharp. "Sir, we secured the perimeter," he said. Karen shouted, "Arrest him! He destroyed HOA property." The trooper turned slowly and said, "Ma'am, this land is protected state property." Her face went pale. I looked at the broken wall of my home and said, low and steady, "You didn't just touch my house. You touched the state." Karen started yelling, fast and messy, saying the HOA had special permission and that I was lying to scare people. She pointed at my kids and said they were being used as an excuse. That's when the trooper raised his hand and told her to step back. She refused. She said, "You work for us." Another SUV arrived, then another. Cameras came out. A man in a suit walked up, calm but cold, and asked Karen for her HOA charter. She handed over copies with shaking hands. He flipped one page and stopped. "This HOA doesn't exist," he said. The crowd gasped. Karen tried to run toward the bulldozer, screaming to shut everything down, but a trooper blocked her. I checked my phone again. Messages were blowing up. News alerts, live feeds. Someone had already leaked the footage. I looked at her and said quietly, "You wanted power in front of people. Now they're all watching." Her voice dropped. "Not anger, fear," she said. "The fines were real and the orders came from above." The man in the suit asked one question, calm and sharp. "From who?" She couldn't answer. One of the fake cops tried to slip away, but a trooper stopped him and pulled the badge off his chest. It bent in half. The crowd moved closer, phones up. Someone shouted, "They're fake!" Karen started crying, saying she was just doing her job. Then the tow truck driver walked over and said the HOA paid him in cash. That's when the trooper put handcuffs on the fake cop. Karen screamed that this was all a setup. I stepped forward, looked at the cameras and said, "They used fear to steal land." The suit nodded and said, "And today it ends." Karen backed away, shaking her head over and over, saying she didn't know the rules, saying someone higher told her what to do. The man in the suit looked at me and gave a small nod. I took a breath and finally said it out loud. "I signed the order that protected this mountain." Murmurs turned into silence. One reporter whispered, "Wait, the governor?" Karen's knees almost gave out. She pointed at me and said, "You live like this?" I looked at the half-destroyed wall, my kids, the dirt on my hands, and said, "Leaders don't hide behind gates." The troopers moved in. Karen was told to turn around. She refused, screaming that this would ruin her life. The cuffs clicked anyway. Cameras caught everything. I turned to the crowd and said, "No HOA can erase your rights." The mountain went quiet. But the fallout was just starting. As they walked her toward the SUV, she suddenly shouted my name, begging now, saying she could fix this if I made one call. I didn't answer. The suit guy was already on his phone, ordering an audit on every HOA connected to her. Workers shut down the bulldozers. Engineers started checking the damage. A trooper told me quietly that the fake cops would face federal charges. Karen heard that and broke down, yelling that everyone else was doing it too. Reporters rushed closer, asking why I never told anyone who I was. I looked at the broken home behind me and said, "Because power should protect people, not scare them." My daughter grabbed my hand tighter. The sun was dropping behind the mountain, lights flashing red and blue, and I knew this wasn't just about my house anymore. This was about every family she ever bullied. Night settled in as the last camera packed up. The mountain was quiet again, but it felt different, like it was breathing free. Troopers escorted my family to a safe spot while crews covered the damaged wall. One of the neighbors finally walked up and said softly, "She did this to all of us." I looked around and saw nods, tired faces, years of fear sitting in their eyes. I said one line that went live everywhere that night. "Your home is not a privilege, it's a right." The next morning, emergency orders shut down fake HOAs across the state. Karen's name disappeared from every board. Charges followed. My kids slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. I stood on the mountain, watching the sun rise over land that was never for sale, and thought, I didn't fight for power. I fought so no one would ever hear a bulldozer at their door again. Weeks later, the repairs were still going on when a sealed letter arrived. Inside was a report. Karen wasn't acting alone. Her HOA scam had links in 3 states: donations, politicians, judges, quiet names. I stood on the same driveway she tried to erase and signed another order. This one heavier. Raids followed. Arrests followed. The fake power collapsed fast once light hit it. One night my son asked if they'd ever come back. I knelt down and said, "They can try, but this land knows who it belongs to." The wind moved through. The trees like it agreed. And somewhere far away, people who abused fake authority started to panic. Because the mountain wasn't the end of the story. It was the warning. Months later, a case study from that mountain was used to train real officers. They called it the HOA illusion. Karen took a plea deal. The fake cops named names. New laws passed quietly but strong. One evening, I parked my SUV back in the same spot she tried to tow from. No guards, no signs. Just home. A man driving by slowed down and yelled, "They picked the wrong guy!" I smiled, not because of who I was, but because of what stopped. I looked at my kids and said the last line that stuck everywhere online, "Freedom doesn't knock first. It stands its ground." End the story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing HOA stories.